Frequency, Chapter 7, Contact. Vinyl snapped awake to the sound of some pony knocking on her door. She groaned and considered ignoring it until she remembered that there was no actual door to her bedroom. Her eyes drifted open to reveal dark-stained marble walls. She puzzled over this at first, but then the memory of the past night bucked her out of bed. Stumbling on hooves that weren't quite ready for movement, she made her way to the door of the small room. She thrust it open to find a bleary-eyed Flash sentry waiting for her.
Is it time?
Flash let out a long yawn and righted his helmet before nodding. The princess wants us to meet her in the astronomy room of the East Tower. You ready? Scratching her head and brushing back her wild mane, Vinyl ended up yawning as well.
Yeah, the sooner the better. Lead on.
Her hooves were like lead. She walked alongside Flash, head low as she tried to stretch her back. He maintained the proper stance of a guard, but by his face, she suspected he would collapse at any second.
How much sleep did you get last night, Flash?
3 hours. He grumbled. After you nodded off, I had to go to apologize to little Castor for abandoning her on Princess Cadence's doorstep right when it was time for her to go off duty. Wasn't pretty. She winced at this revelation.
Sorry.
It's okay. He waved a dismissive hoof. I'm expected to be able to take a few long nights in my line of work. She shook her head.
You didn't have to stay up with me all night long.
You were scared. I wasn't just gonna leave you alone with your thoughts. Vinyl blushed and glanced away.
I wasn't scared.
Paul, you were borderline panicked. She huffed and refused to look his way.
I'm a big girl. I can take care of myself.
Flash shrugged. We all say something like that. They continued the walk in silence, Vinyl not daring to admit that she was glad he'd stuck around last night. It had been long and frustrating. She'd almost broke down on more than one occasion. Not the first time. Vinyl began to wonder when it was that Addie had become so important to her. Her mind circled through the usual thoughts. Maybe it wasn't that Addie was so important, but rather what Addie represented. Then again, what did she represent? It could be the opportunity to save some pony. Or maybe Vinyl just wanted to do something special for a change and make a difference. Perhaps she wanted to be important to some pony. Or perhaps she just didn't want to come home to an empty apartment. She hated that particular thought. As always, she shoved past it to more pleasant alternatives. Addie was her friend, and she didn't want her friends to come to harm. That was the best reason, wasn't it? The most likely, the most reasonable. Yet Vinyl wasn't used to the idea of friends. Aside from Velvet, she'd never really had one. And Velvet seemed more akin to a long-known acquaintance. A pony she knew since her school days, who happened to be working at a bar of the club she applied to work for years later. Maybe Velvet qualified as a friend. Yet, Vinyl didn't get scared when she couldn't talk to Velvet after a few days. What was the difference between her and Addie? The circle came round again. Hey. She glanced up to find that they were climbing upstairs. Jeez, how long has she been wrapped up in her thoughts? Flash tapped her on the head. You fall asleep walking? Vinyl shook off his hoof and rubbed her eyes.
No, just thinking.
Right. He let out another long yawn. We're almost there.
Good.
She glanced around, taking in the dim surroundings. They were in a circular staircase rising around a thick column. There were no windows, no indication that they were approaching a destination.
How high are we, and how do you know how high we are?
Pegasus instincts. He flapped his wings, perhaps for emphasis. This is the tallest tower in the castle. Judging by our elevation... He tapped the side of his head. We're probably up to the 15th floor or so. The tower's got 17. They passed by a solid oak door, which Vinyl peered at for the sake of having something other than marble to see.
Astronomy room, top of the tower. Makes sense.
You'll want to be careful in there, Flash told her. The astronomy room's as akin to Princess Luna's personal study, and she babies her equipment. You break it, you bought it. After a few moons in the dungeon, that is.
Got it, I'll be careful.
The staircase ended at a pair of large doors, on which Flash knocked.
Come in.
He pushed a door open. Your Highness, Miss Scratch has arrived. Vinyl stepped through to find a wide, open room with the only central column acting as a support. The exterior was nothing more than a circle of wide windows. Telescopes of varied sizes were scattered about the place, all aimed at the sky. Tables were covered in boxes with lenses and strange objects sat at strategic locations. Some spare equipment was stored on shelves, and star charts were set on stands depicting a variety of constellations. Vinyl noted at least a half-dozen bookshelves filled with tomes on what were almost certainly astronomical data. The soft shine of morning's first light filtered through the room. Princess Luna stood at one of the tables, steadying a large telescope lens in her magic. Her face was so close, it was a wonder her eye didn't touch the glass.
Oh, Miss Scratch. You are just in time.
As Vinyl continued her curious scan of the room, the princess very slowly set the lens down in a velvet-lined box, which she closed with equal caution. She turns to her guest with a broad smile.
The station will be cutting off their service for an hour. It will begin soon. Really?
Vinyl bounced forward, all weariness fading from her mind.
That's great! I can't thank you enough, Princess.
She dropped into a quick bow.
The gratitude is returned,
Princess Luna replied.
I have had quite the educational night thanks to your interruption. It has been a wonderful break from the tedium of the past few months.
She turns to point to a nearby table.
Your radio is there. I took the liberty of having its internal parts replaced and upgraded where necessary. I apologize that I neglected to ask permission first.
Vinyl bounded to the radio and lifted it in her magic. She examined it from all sides, yet apart from some clearly new screws in the bottom, it didn't seem all that different.
That's wonderful! Thank you very much, Your Highness.
The door began to creak closed, but Princess Luna's voice piped up.
You will stay, First Lieutenant.
Oh. Flash stepped back into the room with a nonplussed expression. But I have to report for duty, Your Highness. The princess waved her hoof dismissively.
At the moment, your duty is to stay here.
Flash exchanged a questioning look with Vinyl, but let the door close behind him. As you command, Princess. Vinyl wondered about this turn of events, but decided she had more important issues at hoof.
Princess, do you think you could locate Addie? Absolutely.
The alicorn sat opposite Vinyl with an eager smile.
I have been through a crash course of the technology involved and have already tested a spell for just that purpose. It will be easy to determine a general direction once the two of you begin speaking.
Her expression grew somber.
Of course, this assumes your friend will be on the radio at all. She'll be there,
Vinyl insisted.
She's gotta be. So we shall see.
Princess Luna glanced towards the rising sun.
The frequency should be open now. Let us try.
Vinyl cast a fretful look towards Flash, who gave her a firm nod. With a sigh, she reached for the microphone.
All right, Addie. Please be there.
She flipped the power switch. Addie's quiet, lost voice arose from the speaker, clearer than it had been ever before.
Here. I'm still here. Please, Vinyl, come back. Please.
Vinyl let out a sigh. She kept still for a couple of seconds, just letting the relief wash over her, but finally raised the mic.
I'm here, Addie. Vinyl! Oh, thank God!
She shot a smile at the princess, who only stared at the radio intently.
Sorry, Addie. Something's happened beyond my control and— Don't ever do that to me again! Do you have any idea how scared I was?
Vinyl winced and turned the volume down slightly. She thought on the last 24 hours and blushed.
Oh, believe me, I do. No, you don't,
Addie whispered.
I thought I was alone again. Don't do that to me, Vinyl, please. I can't take being alone anymore.
I know. Vinyl glanced at Princess Luna once more, who had taken on a grim frown.
That's why I rushed to get help as fast as I could. Good. That's good. Promise me you won't ever leave me like that again.
Vinyl held the microphone in both hooves, her chest tight.
I promise. I'll be here, Addie. You don't know how worried I was when I couldn't find you.
A long pause.
You were worried? Yeah, I really was.
Vinyl glanced towards Flash, who smiled in a way that was almost glowing. She coughed and shook herself.
Anyway, I've accelerated our plans.
Addie sniffed.
I don't follow. You remember me talking about meeting Princess Luna, right?
Vinyl glanced at the princess, who was leaning over the table and listening carefully.
I sorta barged into the night court so I could ask her for help. You did? You didn't get in trouble, did you?
Vinyl grinned.
Nope, though I probably should have. She's here right now, listening to us. Oh, she is?
The microphone floated over the radio, Vinyl waving encouragingly to the alicorn.
Would you like to talk to her, princess?
Holy, the moment finally is happening. Wasn't too long of a journey, but it certainly made us wait. Anywho, let's get on to our charming donators. Top donators are 630, BadassWaffle, Onlyonething, Ceru, Orion, IronSky, and Jessie Smith. Magic109, JockeTF, Darkside, Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel Austin Rowan, Stu Hex, Torpether, Marjorie, Omicron, Lyra, Type 9852, Will Chris, Twinkie, Rice, Shanaman, Luigi 88, Chancellor Crest, Big Smoke 369, Baka, GGF, Murder Princess, and many more amazing people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.